Sophia, and thank you so much for coming to my presentation about avian distribution across the South Texas working ranch landscape and implications for migratory facilitation. I'll try to summarize this a little bit to keep us on a time schedule here. Now, birds are important. We need them. I'm sure everyone here in this room recognizes the valuable role that they play in the ecosystem, society, and economy. Birds pollinate plants, they disperse seeds, they're really important members of the food chain. As we just heard, woodpeckers are really significant ecosystem engineers as well. And birds allow people like you and me to go birding, harvest for hunting, and so much more. Now, birds are also a really good animal to study because research has shown that slight changes in bird populations are often some of the first indicators of environmental change. Now, migratory bird populations have been declining drastically in the past several decades. This graph was produced by a study in Canada using 1970 as a starting point, and it shows that some groups are actually increasing, including raptors, seabirds, and waterfowl. However, as you can see, the majority are decreasing, and some of them at exceptionally shocking rates. On the bottom, the red line shows the aerial insectivores, and they've dropped at about 70% in this time frame, which is just drastic. And these declines are exactly what we're worried about. Now, there are several different hypotheses in existence to explain some of these declines, and some of them offer a really good explanation, but others are still quite a mystery, and they're under investigation right now. This data, for example, is produced from the 2014 State of the Birds Report, and they show some different causes of bird mortalities every year in the U.S. For example, they show that power line collisions have killed 25 million birds every year in the U.S., cars 200 million, windows 600 million, and of course the big one we all know, cats killing almost 2.5 billion. And again, this is from 2014, so I'm sure these numbers are a lot higher by now. Now, let me say one more thing. These are from the direct impacts of people. And these numbers are huge. They're almost unfathomable. But unfortunately, these numbers don't even compare to the numbers that we're seeing caused by the indirect effects of humans. Now, of course, as we know, habitat loss and degradation mixed with climate change combine to make the most imperfect cocktail, resulting in severe threats to birds right now, and it will continue to do so on into the future. Now, according to the Audubon report, this is, keep in mind, using their most optimistic scenario, they suggest that 314 birds are going to be on the brink of extinction within this century. Now, to put that into context, there have been 9 bird species that have gone extinct in the U.S. in modern times. So that is 9 up to this point, and now we're looking at over 300 within the century. That number is just devastating. It should really be a call to action for all of us. Now, some research has suggested that the migratory pathways that birds take are the most vulnerable time for them, and that should really be what conservationists are focusing on. Here you can see a map of 4 of the migratory pathways that birds take across the U.S. And where we are in the purple central flyway region, we see a lot of migratory birds pass through. In fact, of the 338 Nearctic, Neotropic bird migrants that have been identified, 98.5% of them have been documented in Texas. Now let me say that again. 98.5% of the bird migrants identified on this continent, from the Nearctics to the Neotropics, have been in Texas. That's almost all of them. That just shows the important role that Texas can play in this whole process. Now, we also know that 80, 90, maybe more percent of Texas land is privately owned and managed. And this can present some complications for conservationists especially, because anytime that they would like something to be done to their land, they have to communicate and talk to each of the landowners individually and work with them. Now, I'm going to share a little bit about an organization that is helping to bridge this gap. The East Foundation was established from the estate of Robert East, and it was set up to be an agricultural research organization. wildlife conservation, and several other public benefits of private ranching and private land stewardship. They do this through research, conservation, and outreach. And their working laboratory consists of over 218,000 acres of native rangeland in South Texas. This is all dispersed across their 6 different ranches in 4 distinct ecotypes, or ecoregions. And the ranch that I'm working on is the largest ranch, as you can see on the left, the San Antonio Viejo Ranch. And for this project, I was wondering in which vegetation type most of the migratory bird species were congregated in across their landscape. I came up with 3 different hypotheses to address this question. The first one is that I would find most of the bird species in open grassland areas, and the second one, most of them in woody thorn scrub areas, and the third one, that there would be no significant difference in vegetation type selection. So this whole project began in 2014 when the East Foundation began collecting point count data across the ranch. And every year, field technicians go out and continue collection of this long-term database that will hopefully be used for several other projects in the future, including this one. Now, I've begun going through some of the data and working on some preliminary analyses to see if I can figure out exactly where the birds were going and where they were selecting on the ranch. Well, at the same time, I was keeping in mind what kind of information can this data give us in terms of management and conservation implications. So here's what 1 year's worth of point count data looks like on our ranch. Each point represents a time when the technicians were out observing and listening and recording any birds that were in the area. And so at each point, there's several different species that were at that point, so it's really like a present absence data set. And then what I did is I took the land cover or vegetation type data set and overlaid that on our map. So the green areas show the woody thorn scrub vegetation areas, and the tan shows the open grassland areas. Now I'm going to share with you some of my preliminary results. And the point of this presentation is more to introduce our project and the implications that this can have, and to share with you the different paths that this project is probably going to take in the future. So far, I have found that 86% of the total migratory bird species found on the ranch were congregating in the woody vegetation areas, where 98% were in the open grassland areas. Now, this may suggest that most of the bird species are selecting this open grassland, but it could mean something completely different. For example, think about when you're out listening for birds if you're in the woods. You're probably going to detect them if they're pretty close to you, where if they're farther away and the woods are really dense, it impairs your line of vision and how far away you can hear them. Where if you're in the open grassland area, you can hear and see birds from really far away. So there's obviously a lot of different things going on here, and a lot of different questions that come up with each new little thing that we find out, like most science. Now, future research is going to include a water analysis to determine if birds are congregating closer to water sources on the landscape, like the water tanks for cattle, for example. We're also going to be looking into a grazing analysis to see if different grazing intensities affect where the birds are going. And lastly, as I mentioned, we're going to look deeper into this vegetation analysis to see what we can really figure out, and it's going to take a lot more research to really understand what's going on here. Now, hopefully this data is going to provide us with the information that we need to give ranchers and private landowners in Texas and surrounding states with really good recommendations on how they can help assist these birds through their migration. For example, we could possibly suggest where to put a new water tank, or a certain kind of vegetation type to encourage or plant more of in a certain area. Similarly, we could recommend a certain grazing intensity to focus on. Now, in the end, all of this is an effort to help these birds as they migrate across the unforgiving landscape of Texas, and ultimately to help them get to where they're going. I'd like to thank the East Foundation and Texas A&M's Wildlife Fisheries Department for funding this research. It would not be possible without them. And I would also like to thank all of you for coming and sharing your time with me today. Thank you.
We do have time for questions.
Yep. On the slide that talked about the number
taking total number, so it was like about 100, and then what percent of that. So it's definitely over 100%. So some of the species were found in the woody area and the grassland. So it would be in both areas. I can explain more after too. Yes, sir.
So the research on the desert grasslands is showing that different grazing systems will result in different veg communities, even across similar soil types. Is there a similar setup at the East Foundation in terms of, or a way to stimulate some different grazing systems, like a continuous versus rotation system, and see if those kind of effects are happening there too?
Yeah, well, we do have kind of a different project. It's called the Allie Kohler project, where we have several different enclosures and different grazing intensities that have been going on. So that's something I don't know too much about yet because it's kind of been shifting over since like 2014. So we're going to be looking into that too to see how the different grazing intensities will affect the local bird populations. Yes, sir.
So any thoughts? There were some presentations earlier about birds in West Texas, and that actually the grassland and restored grassland areas had the lowest number of bird diversity. So any thoughts about, or does that make you think anything about it?
I don't know. It just really shows how complicated, the issue is and how much there is to learn about it. And it's just going to take some more deeper analysis to really understand what's going on, especially in different areas. Because on private lands, everything is kind of different and set up differently. So
Follow up?
go for it.
And there was also one earlier about protection probability. Talk
Yeah,
about that. And
definitely.
so it seems like, and you alluded to that as far as woodlands and
Exactly.
and I wasn't aware that there was that distance sampling had any difference in detection probability based on vegetation type.
Yeah. Well, detection probability is definitely a big factor. As you can see, like when you're, as I said, in the woods, it's going to be different than in the open grasslands. So that's definitely a factor that we're going to